Humanity. What a theater it is. Each of us stepping onto the stage cloaked in the masks of our nature and nurture, playing out the peculiar scripts we have been handed. Today, we dive deep into two masks that are often mistaken for one another, yet are fundamentally distinct. These are the masks of avoidant attachment and introversion. Our journey will explore their differences, their intricacies, and the wisdom we can glean from understanding their stories. Let us start with a compelling question. Why do some people pull away from the warmth of human connection, while others retreat simply to recharge their light? The former is the shadowy domain of avoidant attachment, a fortress built out of fear, pain, and survival. The latter is the tranquil stillness of introversion, a quiet preference for the sanctuary of one's own thoughts. These two are often conflated, but to do so is to miss the profound truths each contains. Imagine a child in a home where their cries were dismissed, their feelings trivialized, and their needs labeled as burdensome. This is where avoidant attachment takes root. It is not merely a trait but a survival mechanism, forged in the fires of neglect or criticism. Those with avoidant attachment grow up believing that emotions, both their own and others, are liabilities. Vulnerability to them is a dangerous game, one they were taught to avoid at all costs. They minimize their needs and dismiss the needs of others, not out of malice, but out of learned self-preservation. Picture a soldier in a battlefield, shield raised, always alert. That is the emotional posture of someone with avoidant attachment. Their relationships, often superficial, are like guarded borders. No one gets too close, and no one stays too long. At the heart of this avoidance lies a relentless inner critic. You're not good enough. You're unlovable. Why even try? These are the whispers of shame and inadequacy that haunt them, and so they retreat. Not out of preference, but out of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of exposing the fragile core they've worked so hard to protect. Now, let us pivot to introversion, that beautiful introspective temperament. Unlike avoidant attachment, introversion is not born of trauma but of wiring. It is not a fortress but a retreat, not a defense but a choice. Introverts are the architects of their own inner landscapes. They find solace in solitude, not because they fear others, but because they cherish the richness of their inner worlds. A crowded room can be overwhelming, not threatening, like a symphony played too loudly for their ears. Take an introvert to a bustling party, and they might smile politely, engage in a few conversations, and then quietly disappear to recharge. It's not that they dislike people, they simply value the depth of connection over the breadth of it. Herein lies a crucial difference. While avoidant individuals fear deep relationships, introverts thrive on them. They prefer a few close friends over a sea of acquaintances. Their relationships are not shallow out of fear, but meaningful out of intention. Now, let us sharpen our focus on the distinctions between these two experiences. Imagine two neighbors living side by side, one with avoidant attachment, the other an introvert. Their behaviors may appear similar at a glance. Both spend much of their time alone, but their motivations are as different as night and day. Avoidant individuals withdraw to protect themselves from perceived threats. Their solitude is a fortress. Introverts seek solitude as a means of renewal. Their solitude is a sanctuary. Avoidant individuals keep relationships superficial to avoid vulnerability. Introverts cultivate deep, meaningful relationships, albeit with a select few. Emotional awareness. Avoidant individuals often dismiss or suppress emotions, seeing them as dangerous or unworthy. Introverts are keenly aware of their emotions and often introspect deeply to understand them. Social preferences. Avoidant individuals avoid social situations out of fear of judgment or rejection. Introverts may enjoy socializing but find large gatherings draining. But what happens when we fail to recognize these distinctions? Consider the introvert labeled as antisocial or shy, when in truth they are neither. or the avoidant individual dismissed as merely quiet when their silence is a scream for safety. To misunderstand is to miss an opportunity for empathy, for connection, for growth. It is to deny the unique struggles and strengths each individual brings to the table. For those with avoidant attachment, healing is a journey of learning to trust others, yes, but more importantly themselves. Therapy can be a transformative space where they can confront their fears, challenge their inner critic, and slowly lower the walls of their fortress. For introverts, the journey is not one of healing, but of self-acceptance. It is about embracing their quiet nature in a world that often glorifies noise and extroversion. Allow me to share a tale. There once was a man who lived in a cabin at the edge of the forest. He rarely ventured into town, and the townsfolk thought him unfriendly. He must dislike people, they whispered. But they were wrong. The man wasn't unfriendly, he was simply introspective. His days were filled with quiet contemplation, his nights with the soft glow of candlelight as he read and wrote. He had a small circle of friends who visited him, and their conversations were rich and profound. Next door lived another man, one who also kept to himself. But his solitude was different. It was not chosen but imposed by his fears. He longed for connection but felt unworthy of it. His cabin, unlike the first man's, felt like a prison. The townsfolk saw only two reclusive men. They didn't see the worlds of difference within. And so, my dear friends, as we draw the curtain on this exploration, let us remember this. Human behavior is complex, multifaceted, and deeply personal. To understand the differences between avoidant attachment and introversion is not just an academic exercise, it is an act of compassion. For those of you who see yourselves in these words, know this: you are not alone. Whether you dwell in the fortress of avoidance or the sanctuary of introversion, your experiences are valid, your struggles are real, and your journey is yours to define. Thank you for walking this path with me today. Until we meet again, may you find the courage to connect, the peace to reflect, and the wisdom to embrace all that you are.